We're here.
Thank, thank you so much for your patience.
It's no worries. It's no worries. We have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great to see you, Anna.
Yeah, you too. I've watched so much of your, mostly on YouTube. I don't go on Instagram so much, but yeah, you're one of the reasons why I'm here in Instagram.
Really? Is that right?
Um, yeah, definitely. And I wanted to talk to you about Twitter, about joining on Twitter, because there's another real cool community that's just like budding over there. There's like a Twitter revolution happening. It's pretty interesting. Some really beautiful conversations happening.
A revolution, you say?
Yeah, it's really actually happening over there. I never, for a long time, I've been off social media. So my awakening happened really like late because I just had no idea. Um, yeah, I was in my own little small bubble world. Like it's interesting that in this day and age to not be on any social media. Uh, yeah, so the news travels slowly
Yeah.
when you're not.
You find that you're not missing out on so much. I know that there's been times where I've gone into meditation, like when I've gone into a 10-day retreat for Vipassana, and
Mm.
and I've come out of Vipassana and I'm like, wow, it's like right where I left it. It didn't go anywhere. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. But there was some things like um, just like anyway, I don't want to get into too much of it. We'll stick with
We can, I mean,
the our
yeah.
subject matter.
But no, I mean
But
that's
but
where
a
it
lot of
goes. That's where it goes because you were talking Anna, and I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is it Anna or Anna?
Anna, yeah,
Anna?
Anna, you
Anna.
have it.
Oh,
You have it right the first time. Anna, yeah,
Anna. Anna.
not Anna. Anna, yeah.
Okay. Anna, I wanted to ask you because you said that you were late in your awakening. Is that correct?
I just think it could have happened sooner. I would have been.
When you say awakening, like
I'm
what do
like,
you
I
mean?
was in like my own world for like, I don't know, awakening, astrology, all of the subjects that weren't covered well in modern school that I dismissed, as occult. In like a I don't know, I was really like torn between two worlds because intuitively I run on intuition, like I just operate on level. So a lot of the things that I woke up to, I already felt intuitively, and it was like, okay, now there's like proof, so to speak, like the nature of the plane that we live on, and just astrology actually was a really big, was something I wish I would have known earlier. But whatever, it all happened for its perfect unfolding reason, and I'm not worried about much of it. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. How how
so
how would it have helped you if you knew about astrology earlier?
uh, the relationships with the people around me,
Mm.
because astrology for me is, the luminaries are not these like solid objects to me. They're vibrations in the sky, and they have a resonance with each other. And so when we're born, that resonance is sort of imprinted on us. I want to know what your birthday was, by the way, um, um, and how the sky, how the different harmonics of each moment in the sky, the whatever that resonance is, you can. I don't know how to describe this well.
The
Just
resonance?
understand. the harmonics of the sky when the day, like in the moment you were born, and then putting that harmony against like people that you're around all of the time, people that you're working with, your family, your partners, and to understand better what their harmonics are, so that you can understand them better. You know, it's like and find the harmony, find what things harmonize and what things are not in harmony. And in finding out what isn't in harmony actually brings harmony, because you bring understanding. You're like, oh, you can see better where other people are coming from because of being able to read the sky the day they were born.
Okay, that sounds so
So it's
useful.
helped me a lot in my relationship with my
Okay.
partner. Huge. Once we started getting into astrology, it was like we understood each other better. And yeah, and then we use that as a tool when we meet people. Like when we automatically resonate with someone, we're like, wow, you're just intuitively drawn to talk to people,
Right.
right? And then when you find out what their birthday is and look at their sky, it's like confirmation in a way about how the different aspects of people that you're intuitively drawn towards. Like the astrology for me isn't just like what their horoscope is, or like it goes way, like we're actually looking at the map of the sky and actually looking at the harmonics of it, like the angles and what things that resonate and don't, and you find repeating things in your life, and it's just confirmation more and more that it's real.
Yeah, it sounds like you can really pick up on the patterns, you know. You can pick up on things that you might not have noticed if you weren't keenly observing or paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say wisdom has a price that is paid with attention, you
Mm.
know? The way, you
So
know,
true.
so
Oh, I just love your poetry.
it's
Yeah.
you know, you're giving it to me. So, you know, Ella, it's amazing because when you're talking about, and I don't even hear that word very often, that you use luminaries. You know, you said the luminaries aren't just these solid things, but they're actual like harmonics. And when you tune into that resonance, it can help you resonate with all these
Mm.
relationships. So when it
Yeah.
came to you and your partner, what were you able to understand about your partner more deeply, you know, at a more deep level?
Uh, that mostly, like, that our minds work in very different ways from each other, and so it helped with our communication a lot, because I'm a person that, like, I can easily pick up. I mean, I can relate to almost anyone. Like, so when I go through life, it kind of, I don't pick, I'm not a side picker. I'm not like, oh, this side, that side. I'm like the referee, you know. I'm more better in that position. And I love change. Um, I when I was young, I used to dream about having as many different experiences as I could, and to see if I could change my life from, like, you know, this one form that I was born into, where it's like, okay, you're born and you have a nice family and everybody's very nurturing and caring. This is the scenario I was born into. And uh, you know, my parents were able to provide for me and everything was easy. And in some ways, like, every childhood has its challenges. That's like part of the game of growing up. But I said to my dad, I'm like, I want to feel the resistance of life pushing back on me. You know, you have to have some struggle in some way to like evolve. Or I mean, I was just a super adventurous, but I love change. That's totally. And if you read my astrology, it's like you just see your when you see your personality in print, it's like crazy.
Wow.
And so yeah, when we started to read about each other, then you have more compassion
Yeah.
for them as an individual, as this like creative soul, and it's not their fault, you know. Like yeah, and you can use it as a tool to overcome things that are obstacles, because you know the even the resonance that aren't seemingly, and this is where I'm the referee for myself,
Mm-hmm.
like even the resonance that are there that aren't as harmonious are just where your uh, skill set lies. That's where your work is, for working on yourself and taking those things uh, that are seemingly a negative, and just finding a resonance with them, bringing them into harmony with the rest of your life, and as a tool to learn and grow and expand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
I
mean, if
agree.
you, yeah, you have to feel like love is the double-edged sword, right? Like you, you, when you fall deeply in love, and then, you know, everybody's had their heartbreak relationship, it just shows you how deep that love can really go and be. And yeah,
Yeah.
and women with the womb, they're just intuitively more apt to this. And as a mother and a grandmother now, it's like it's crazy. I mean, the day my son was born, I was just like, oh, I had no idea
No,
that it was
no idea
that
what.
deep, you know, that the love could be that, like, it's a, yeah, that love could be that deep, that it's just another level.
Okay.
And then when I found out I was going to become a grandmother, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this heart cracking open is happening again. Like,
So he was
yeah,
even more. He was
yeah,
even more open.
yeah, more
Wow.
expansion. And yeah, and the journey of breatharianism has been like that. And that was sort of like my late awakening. Like, I knew intuitively about breatharian journey. I just didn't have a name for it when I began. It was like a secret I kept to myself in a
Mhm.
way. So,
A secret
like
is a
15,
secret.
in a way, because I didn't have the words to express it in like where there was no one to. I didn't have anyone to that was around me that understood it the way I, I don't know. Like, there was no one to talk to about it where I felt comfortable enough that it would be accepted. It's so crazy. The
Because
whole,
make it sound like you were very young when you kind of came into that awareness.
well,
Were you very
I
young?
was in my in a when I would my first sort of thoughts of sustenance, like having to consume something, was when I was super young.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like in grade school, like grade 3 or grade 2. I don't remember my age, but uh, this I've never talked about this. Okay. So I went to the bathroom and there was worms in my stool, and I was really, really young. I should say my dad was a pharmacist, and but I was always sort of I don't know. I didn't talk a lot when I was a kid. I didn't share things that were really happening to me personally with my parents. I really don't know why. I was really recluse in that aspect. So I never shared any of this with my parents. it was like really when I saw it was in the toilet, it scared me into not eating, and that's like the intuition, right? So and I the not eating cleared it up, just
Yeah.
not eating, and then a few other weird things happened, but then skip ahead. Now I'm in my mid 20s, and I've had a child now, and I'm a parent. And a friend of mine wanted to do a cleanse and wanted me to join her, and I was like, okay. I was curious about what it would be like to pass through the hunger gate. Like, where is that? Where does that lie?
Mhm.
This like, not going to starve to death, but like, where is that threshold?
Right.
And so I went on this journey with her, and I ended up going 36 days, which blew me away.
And th-
Like,
and that was 36 days on.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like, lemon water. I did actually lemon water with maple syrup. But even towards the end of that, I was like barely, barely even having that. Like, it just naturally tapered off, and I was just consuming less and less and less. And at the time, I was still cooking meals for my whole family, making lunch for my son, and like everybody was like, "What are you gonna like? When are you gonna eat?" Like, and I had a really super physically demanding job at the time, and I
Wow.
was active, super active,
Hmm.
like, and not just a physically demanding, but a job my that demanded mental clarity and alertness. I was doing high speed water taxi driver, and you've got to be on your game for that career. So it was really interesting for the people around me, and yeah.
Yeah.
But
What was
that
their
was
response
really
like?
a breakthrough moment, and there was like thresholds in that, like the 3 day mark, the 5 day mark, the 9 day mark.
Yeah.
Those were sort of big ones, and then after that, I was really coasting.
Just going, just off to the,
Yeah,
yeah. So at 36 days, how were you feeling at that point? Like what was revealing at that point?
there was so many revealing moments through that, but it was just like I was shocked still at 36 days of how I could just be like so full of life and energy, and I never stopped for. I stopped to rejoin society.
Yeah.
The most
Yeah.
thing was food addiction.
Wait, I couldn't hear that part.
Food addiction. How
Okay.
everyone is like, the whole world just looked like everyone was addicted to food to me. And that's the first addiction to food. I'm like, forget cigarettes, alcohol, whatever. You're addicted to food first, and then everything else comes along with that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So when
What
you
was it like for you?
because when
Sorry?
you were talking about like it's going in and out, it's a little fuzzy. Like I kind
Oh,
of heard the end, but maybe it's the headphones. I don't know. It might be something, but all of a sudden it got a little fuzzy. But I heard the end. I heard the end of what you were saying, and when you were talking, Anna, about seeing what you saw in the toilet during that time when you were very young age, and you said you saw worms. So I'm assuming those were like parasites or something in the stool that you witnessed. What was your form of consumption back during those days?
sorry. Then I couldn't hear you. Can you
Oh,
hear
okay.
me now?
I can hear you now, clear, a little clearer.
Hmm.
You can hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I missed some of what you were saying, though.
Yeah. So when you witnessed what you witnessed as a child, in the bathroom, when you looked in the toilet and you saw what was there, what was
Yeah.
what was your form of consumption back then? Like what kind of things were you consuming at that point?
Yeah, my I was like a toast and jam kid, and crap food like boxed. He can't hear me. Is it better?
Now it's back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I heard jam. You were
Canned food, like canned soup, craft or Campbell, like not a very good diet.
No, look, it's all
Oh,
falling
it fell
apart.
off. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you through the actual microphone now. Like
Okay.
not your mic that you're holding. I can hear you through your phone or your
This.
device.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah, that might be better.
right? You
sorry,
keep
I have
wiggling
someone
it.
trying to help
You
me
keep
with the tech.
wiggling it, and you
Oh,
have
I
to
got
stop
you.
touching
I
the
got you.
cable.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haruka says I think it's the mic. Julian saying maybe her microphone is getting unplugged. They're
Okay.
asking if you can try to get off the microphone. See how it sounds.
I can. I can. No,
Hey,
I can.
I'm plugging back in.
Oh, okay, you plugging it back in? Okay, let's see. Say something?
Okay, stop wiggling it.
I think I need a new cable.
Okay, but stop wiggling it.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. We'll wait on you. We'll wait on you.
It's better?
We'll work with it.
Okay.
All
Maybe
right.
I should. Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Um, I was terrified when I saw that in the toilet. I
Mhm.
was absolutely terrified. It scared me into not eating, and it was like I intuitively knew it was from the food that I was consuming.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what kind of food was that? Because I was raised eating everything. My family
Yeah,
still eats everything. They look at me like I'm just, you know, I'm way over there to them. To them, I'm
yeah.
like on the way outside. They just don't understand like how I'm still alive.
Yeah. I don't know like what it was from. Sometimes they say that these parasites, they come because there's something that's not in balance in your body. So like maybe it wasn't necessarily a, a bad thing, and it was something that was cleaning something out of me that was bad. But I was eating a lot of like uh, diet heavy in sodium chloride, I'll say that, which would be salt,
Okay.
all forms of salt. I actually think that's a lot of the biggest problems of people's physical and even I'll say even mental well-being is this high amount of salt that we have in our diet. And actually, if you go into a grocery store and you look at baby food and you look, there's no salt in baby food because it's toxic to the body. And if it's like a essential nutrient, then why wouldn't it be in baby food?
These are the questions.
And yeah, and if the body is a battery, we're then why would you put what happens when you put salt on a battery? It shorts out. It's not good.
Yeah.
And so the last um, over 6 months now, we've been really strict about no sodium chloride in our food, and it's made every once in a while, like during the last 6 months, it hasn't been like completely zero. Like we'll still once in a while I'll go out, and if I have something and there's salt in it, then it more as an experiment, to like be clean from something and then you reintroduce it back, and it was like boom, legs swell up, and you just saw the impact of it almost immediately.
Yeah, I would see the same sort of things like exhibited in my body when I was going through the same like experimentation, feeling the vibration, certain things that I was consuming, like a tomato soup, and like all of a sudden things would just boom, boom, boom. I remember my feet swelled up so much that I couldn't even drive. I couldn't put my foot on the pedal.
Yeah.
It had never bothered me before.
Yeah.
Before I started fasting, before I started letting go. But all of a
Yeah.
sudden, it felt super toxic. And I was like, was it always like that?
Yeah, I think we build well, for sure we build a tolerance to these things. Like,
Absolutely.
it's wild. So when you start coming off of this stuff, that was another thing. I was like, healing my relationship with food is what it started to become after that. That's really where I'm still at now. And it's like going backwards, like to eating like a baby. It's like I feel it now. Like I went down the baby food aisle again today when we went to pick up a watermelon and some fruits, and I went into the baby food aisle. I'm like looking at the labels again. I'm like, no sodium chloride, no sodium chloride, and just I don't know the simple like plain. I feel like that's how I'm gonna really get more into my goal of being really way more long term in the breatharian state, like fully.
Yeah. Because, when you said that when you were younger and you witnessed this, and that there was no one really around you, Anna, to relate, to empathize, and to really resonate with what you found and what you discovered when you intuitively stopped eating. Like it sounds like
Yeah.
you instinctually, but you intuitively, you just naturally let go. And then you felt better, but then you said it
Yeah.
was like this secret that you couldn't share with
Yeah.
anyone. What was that like?
Yeah. Yeah, in a way, I'm still dealing with that in some way, because and it all kind of ties in together to have like this safe place to be able to share and be yourself and be able to live your life in your full authenticity. And we're nomadic now for quite a while, and you're always like being in someone else's space all of the time, or living in someone else's space. It's really interesting because no, not just being a breatharian, but we also do um, uh, plasma therapy, auto urine therapy.
Mhm.
I had to just quit using that word because I had to
Like
reprogram
Shivambu.
myself. Shivambu, yes. Uh, so when I first discovered that, it made a huge impact on a few people that were in my immediate circle, because I had someone with a really big health crisis happening right at that time when I learned about it,
Mm.
and it made like a life-changing impact on this person like right away.
What was it
And
able to heal?
uh, he was going in for heart surgery. So he had like a heart attack stroke combination. Yeah. And I mean, Shivambu is just heart medicine.
Whoa. So it just like when he consumed it, because some people use it, topically on the skin. Some people, through the nose. Some people they do enemas with it. But for him, he just drank it, and his body came into balance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Into balance enough to get him out of that situation definitely.
After a
Like
after a
we were having conversations that like I could barely speak with him, you know, it was like a struggle to connect and have a conversation. And then within a month, it was like, you know, light years better.
whoa,
Just,
whoa,
you know, huge, huge, massive improvement.
within
And for a lot of other people too, another woman I worked with that was, she said, I feel like the depression was lifted off of my body. I was like, okay. And yeah, so there was a few people that followed along on the journey with me, and yeah, it's been pretty amazing. And I've done and still do, like, you name it with Shivambu.
same, yeah,
I've done it. And I really use it in a nomadic sense. Like I wash my hair with it. It's like the next best thing to washing your body with distilled water. Like
yeah,
it's I shower to rinse off the grime off the street, and then I use my fresh plasma like as a rinse off after I turn the water off
yeah,
because I don't want the tap water
yeah,
on my skin.
yeah, yeah.
Thanks anyway.
I got you. I got you.
I know. I don't swim in chlorinated swimming pools, and I like nature.
You know, it's natural. It's natural, but at the same time, there are so many people, especially when it comes to Shivambu, that see it as very, very unnatural. You
Yeah,
know, like they don't, even though it's coming from us, it's something that's coming from you.
I know. And what better thing to demonize to capture everyone, right?
Yeah. So, what do you think is the biggest block for people? Because I myself as well, I've been practicing with it since 2020. So February of 2020 was when I started 4 years ago, and still every day to this day, you know, and it just keeps going, it keeps growing. So, what do you feel is the biggest block for most people to even start to even, you know, do people have to be in desperation before they find the inspiration?
For some of us, definitely. Yeah, and even then, you know, um, I think it's quite a bit deeper than the surface that we say, like, oh, you're just think it's a dirty thing, that the body fluids, these are all dirty things. I think it's way deeper than that. I think that plasma, like Shivambu, it's very revealing to your diet and what you're putting in and how it is for you. And, you know, one guy, he said, I, I, my, I, he was afraid to drink it because of he knew what he was eating. And he was like, no, it's toxic. And I'm like, yeah, because what you're putting in your mouth is toxic. So if you're afraid to drink your plasma because it's toxic, then you got a solution. You just nailed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, I see it as like the direct remedy or like the antidote, you know, to the poison. I see it when I started using it, it was like it stripped away everything that was not me, and then it just left me, you know? Like everything that was not me had to go. It flushed it out, it purged it out. Like it was on its way out, it had to go. And then it just let me know, like it left me. I remained, but all that other stuff was gone. So when she told you that it lifted the depression off of her body, that's a great like
I
that's
know,
such a great
right?
metaphor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And yeah, it like talk about when you say everything that doesn't belong to you gets flushed out of your system. It's so true. And some of these things are deeper rooted and more calcified than others, so they take a
Mm,
bit more time.
for
But
sure.
I love how in tune it's put me in with food.
Hmm.
I love that part of it so much because I just want my plasma to taste delicious.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
um, so it really makes your diet really special to
Hmm.
you, what your constitution is, what you like, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. When I was in Costa Rica, it was just like coconut water.
Oh my
You know, it
gosh.
was.
And then you feel like you're getting like 5 more coconuts for
Yeah.
free. You know what I mean? When you get your plasma afterwards, it's like, yes, and thank you again.
Oh my gosh. It's the gift that keeps on giving,
Mm,
and it shows us how we're living, you know? So
yeah.
it really
Yeah.
does, like it is the perfect biofeedback because I remember, when I did have those, like you said, the sodium, like the salty things, the sweet things, the tangy things, the spicy things, it showed me immediately what was no longer serving me. It was
Mm,
like, no, if you want this to taste great, then you can no longer participate. That has to
yeah.
go. That can't
Yeah.
be on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
plate. Yeah.
Right. And then I do so much with my plasma. Like, I don't want to dump it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not drinking all of it,
Mhm.
but I always try to sip cycle. Like, every time I cycle, I take a sip
Mhm.
so that I know, what I just ate, and there's your result,
Right. Right.
whether you want it or not. Yeah.
And I'm gonna start using that name as well, and I'm gonna start calling it plasma a lot more because wouldn't you know it, my family, yeah, they are actually less concerned with me not eating at all than me drinking my own water. Like
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
more
No way.
they are more worried about me drinking my own water than just not eating. Like
Hmm.
not eating, they've seen me not eating.
Hmm.
But if I were to tell them, then they would be like, wait, whoa,
Yeah.
don't say that,
I,
right? That's
right.
that's off limits,
I
right?
know, and it's been like it's hard to talk about it, right? Like that's what I mean by like the seeing the worms. It was like you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about how you got yourself out of it. And then the plasma cycling. Yeah, it's like all these things that happen in our bodies, through our bodies. It's like the taboo
Very taboo.
subject.
Yeah.
And then in the place, like being nomadic and some of these places I've been staying, it's like that's where I feel like I'm still hiding it. 'Cause I'm like, are they going to be accepting of
Right.
this? And then you're going to have to deal with all this weirdness if they say it's okay and you can still stay there but it's still like the underlying emotion and the vibe, just it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really interesting too. And another place I stayed, I made a raw vegan meal, and
Mhm.
we were going to go on our like another kind of purification session. So I was just kind of finishing up all of the fresh veg and stuff that I had, and I didn't want to eat it. So I shared it with everybody that we were co-living with at the moment. And one of the guys, like just flat out, it was like, so did you use your plasma in any of this food? And I was like, um, and he wouldn't eat any of it.
Really?
And yeah,
Wow.
and that has happened with my family too.
Wow.
So really weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you share your birthday
Yeah,
before
of
we
course.
keep
It's
going?
October 26th, 1990.
October 26, 1990. And do you happen to know the place and time?
It was in Stuttgart, Germany
Oh, right. I
at,
remember you saying that.
yeah,
Germany.
at 11:59 p.m.
11:59. And what year?
1990.
1990. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so that's actually part of the thing I want to create now is and help other people create is these co-living spaces, pranic co-living spaces,
Yeah.
so that when you're traveling around and you're a pranic, then you can stay with someone else
Mhm.
who's pranic, and you know, more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, like a pranic Airbnb, you know, pranic
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
Pranic Airbnb area. There you go. Pranic air. B&B free. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And to do some retreats. Some I think there's like I know there's already people doing things like this. I just think there needs to be more of them and more. I don't know. Some of these retreats are really expensive to attend, right? So making them more accessible to more people. Uh, yeah, and for more longer stays, not just a weekend, like to come and co-living, for a month or 3 months, or actually I would time it for wherever I was staying for like the visa stay. Because these nomadic, that's what we do. We come to a place and we stay for we've done lots of different things because I've had like a residency in other countries where you can buy a residency for a year, whatever.
Yeah.
That's another way. But now we're in Spain. We're going to be here for 3 months.
Nice.
So create a space for other people like us who don't want to move around. Actually, I'm not a tourist.
Right.
I'm just living here right now,
Right.
and so I find a a space and I just park and live like the locals do for that whole time.
Hmm.
That's mostly what I do when I travel.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love the
So
little quotation.
to share that space.
I love your little like, you know, like that's what I do when I'm traveling because I'm not
Yeah.
a tourist. I
Yeah.
love that. You know, it's interesting too, and what you said before a while back, you were talking about how growing up you had a dream to experience all sorts of experiences. Like
Mm.
you really wanted to have a full gambit, a full range, you know, to really broaden your horizons and really expand the scope of experience. And you
Mm.
also said that, you know, the way that you were nurtured when you grew up, there was almost like a craving for more resistance. Like some people look for the path of least resistance, but it
Yeah.
seems like you almost wanted the path of more resistance. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of insight into that while I was working on the water, actually,
Hmm.
because you can't be a fair weather boater when you do it for a career. And so you have to find some pleasure in the storm. Otherwise, you just don't even belong there, you know. So, I guess that's what I mean, and it's another beautiful, different
Yeah.
experience. And the more in harmony you are with the fact that nature is that way, then the more you can just sit back and, you know, relax actually
Okay.
and enjoy it. And there was many times when I was doing my water taxi career where I was in situations and yeah, it was really interesting career. Um, but yeah, you have to just love the storm
Mm.
and
How,
find the beauty in it and just
yeah.
yeah.
How does that also go hand in hand when it comes to loving the storm? When it comes to, you know, how I'm sure you've heard some people say, Anna, like, you know, no pressure, no diamond, right?
Yeah.
Like we need the pressure to make the diamond, right? You know,
Yeah.
that's what brings the diamond out with all of that pressure. So how does that go hand in hand with chronic living or with the energy that's giving or with that vibration of relaxation or maybe just surrender, you know, on those
Mm.
36 days of letting go?
Hmm.
How did that come into to play?
Yeah. The word that resonated the most was that last one, surrendering.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really is that surrendering. That's really what it all is to me. Um, Yeah, and when I go out in the ocean here and I go swimming, that you really, I just let go in that space. It's probably one of the most beautiful spaces to really uh, let go in is when you're surrounded by
Mm,
water, because you're just suspended. You know, you're held literally by the mother. You
mhm,
don't, there's no effort for you to be upright. You're just floating. And yeah, so surrender, surrendering to it. And the recapitulation work is like another surrendering. The going, when you do Shivambu and you start decalcifying your pineal gland and clearing your head, there's like all of these emotions that you didn't know, these memories that you didn't know were there that start to come up.
mm,
And a lot of it is around food.
mm.
We're such a food driven culture, right? Like what you can afford, what it is that you want that you can't get, and the celebrations around food and the arguments over who's going to do what and cook what and bring what. And I mean, just so much emotion um, tied up behind it. And, and trauma, because the easiest thing to do is put something in your mouth. You know, as soon as you feel something and you just, or don't feel something, actually, is more the thing. It's like the less that you stimulate yourself, the more you feel what is in you that wants to come out and be seen
Right,
and be felt.
right, right.
It's like putting yourself on mute
Mm,
every time you put something into your
yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah. Just kind of like turning off, the senses, like turning off the sound, turning off,
Mm-hmm.
you know, wow, pressing the mute on the remote control button. Wow, what is trying to be broadcasted,
Mm-hmm.
what is trying to be channeled, you're just pressing mute, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when you're, just to have that analogy, because there is a lot of desensitization, there is a lot of numbness, there is a lot of apathy when it comes to feeling our emotions. And we even have kind of, stigma around feeling feelings at all, like the masculine, there's a energy around the masculine that, you know, forget your feelings, don't be
Yeah.
so in your feelings.
Yeah.
Why are you in your feelings?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's part of the Shivambu, right? About
right.
how we feel about our own body
Mm,
fluids
yeah,
and how our body even functions, like
right.
what our body fluids even are.
Yeah,
I mean, just
yeah.
wow, right? The whole Shivambu thing was the biggest one for me of all of the things that I discovered were lies and blah blah blah, like whatever other thing. The Shivambu thing was like the very top of the list for me because
Wow.
that's your own body
Yeah,
that you don't know about.
yeah.
This gift that we were, and that was really where my spirituality just came bloomed out of me at that same time because I I I had put it to sleep.
Mm,
You know, my spirituality had been put to sleep literally by this calcification, and the Shivambu like just made me believe like wholeheartedly that there is a creator and that we're divine beings because like wow, we're
yeah.
just built like wow.
We're built like this.
We're
Yeah,
like walking it,
yeah,
we're in it. We're literally living in it.
yeah.
And I'd always had thought of myself, like I got so tired of people asking me, how old are you? Where are you from? Where? And I was like, I'm from here, and I'd stomp my foot on the ground. And they're like, where? And I'm like, Earth, the same as you. And they're like, no, no, where do you live? And I like, right here in this body,
Yeah. Like, this is my house. This is my home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, the Shivambu just took that to a whole new level. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me
And
as
just falling
well.
in yeah, falling in love with your body fluids. Do it.
That's self-love right there. You know, when we're talking about self-love, the self-love frequency, what 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 more expression of self-love could there be? You know, when you're talking
Yeah.
about something that, I mean, you've seen so many things on the media, in movies, in Hollywood, and television, and sitcoms, and comedians doing stand-up, and there's all sorts of jokes and, you know, deprecating humor surrounding our bodily fluids, like
Mm,
it's filthy, it's nasty, ew, don't get it on your hands, don't touch it, that's, you
yeah.
know, that's over there, like don't step. And
But
then
if
when I
it's
was thinking,
manure from another animal, then it's different. They're like, ooh.
right, so when I was thinking, like, logically, I was starting to go down those channels of thought. When I was thinking in my mind, okay, the channel of conception is the front channel that's, okay, life is coming from this channel. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if from the same
Mm-hmm.
organ or from the same, you know, body, like from the same
Mm-hmm.
channel, if my sperm, if the vital fluid, if something that is bringing life, you know, that allows life to, if something is coming down that same channel, why would it be filthy?
Yeah. And
Why?
it's in the amniotic fluid. Like it
Right.
is the fertilizer that we were all born
Yeah.
in, you know?
Why would that be filthy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would that be toxic? Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
The only way is if what you're putting in here is toxic, then of course it's going to be. I mean, even then it's like less toxic, but I'm just saying if you, uh, um, you know, you can kill yourself from something that you put in your mouth. So
and yeah, and I see like,
there's substances like that, right? Like,
yeah.
so if you're doing that and you're drinking it back, then I mean, actually, I wonder if it
I
could
see it as the
actually
tonic.
detox
Yeah,
you
I
and
see
make,
it as the great detox, like the great tonic. For instance, like if someone got bit by a snake, you know,
yes, absolutely.
I see like this would,
Yeah.
your water, your plasma would be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
antidote
it's the
for the venom.
antidote, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
like
whatever
the
that
body's
yeah, yeah,
producing.
yeah.
Yeah. So even if I was back eating, like if I was eating all the stuff that I used to be eating, I feel like my water would still, even though it
Yeah.
wouldn't be
I
palatable,
was
it
right.
wouldn't be palatable like to taste, but it would still get rid of the waste, even though the taste
Yeah.
would be really horrible. Yeah,
Nice one.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I was actually pushing it further, like if someone was like wanting to commit suicide, like by something that they are putting in their mouth, like overdosing on pills
Okay,
or whatever.
okay.
But yeah, the plasma would probably actually counter that.
Mhm.
I wonder. Anyway, there's no way that I'm gonna ever find out that one, but
Me neither.
it's
I'm not testing on that ground.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. We'll say that.
But
We'll say
yeah,
that.
and there's nothing I haven't done with it. One of my favorite things that I do is actually I need to do it right now because I'm out, but I take the more aged plasma,
Mhm.
like more than 2 weeks, let's say, and boil it down or simmer it and reduce it to 1/3, sometimes even more, one
Mhm.
quarter the volume. And I use that on my skin topically as a after sun and a
Yeah,
moisturizer, and I really like it. It's one
yeah,
of the more unusual things that I do because not
yeah,
many people will put it on their put it under fire.
yeah. But I mean, it's a natural. I feel like it's anti-aging, and people talk about,
Mm.
like people in the industry. It's not mainstream, so to speak. You know, forgive the pun. It's not mainstream, but you know, I've talked to people behind closed doors in the acting industry, in the beauty
Mm.
industry, in the modeling
Yeah,
industry, and they've
for sure.
said behind closed doors, like there's people that know about this. They know that it's a beauty, like it's a beauty, you know, for the they use
Yes.
it topically. They might not all drink, but they use it on their skin because
Oh
they
yeah.
know that naturally it's gonna make them more youthful, more vibrant, more vigor, you know, it's
Yeah.
gonna make them,
And
more light.
let's face it, if you're putting it on your skin, you're ingesting it.
Mm, yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's happening.
yeah. It's
So,
absorbing. It's absorbing for sure.
right. So people should be really thoughtful of that when they're using all of these bottles of stuff,
Yeah,
of chemicals. I think that's what most of the skin cancer is from. It's not from sitting in the sun. It's from
right.
putting all this stuff on your skin and sitting in the sun.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
jeez.
Oh man, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Both on
One
both
lady
sides.
said, if you're going to put it on your skin, you should be willing to put it in your mouth. And
Wow,
I agree.
wow,
I agree. And that's all the stuff I put on my skin, I can put in my mouth. No,
wow.
and I do, no
Mhm,
problem.
mhm. Yeah, great way of
Those
looking at it.
those things being moringa oil and plasma.
Yeah,
That's like my whole cosmetic kit. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Even
And
even
an enema bulb, that's it. And a toothbrush. I have like no shampoo, conditioner. Like I don't put anything
yeah.
on at all. I don't even have deodorant, nothing. I don't even use toothpaste
Right.
anymore. I use my aged
Hmm.
plasma.
Yeah.
It's so
I
bizarre
mean,
to me. Like,
people
and I
have
do my
gotten rid of.
laundry with it. I do my laundry with it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
when people talk about breatharianism, and I'm like, well, I need a supply of, like, I have to do my laundry. I got other things I need to do. So,
Yeah.
you know, cheers to staying hydrated.
It's super hydration. It's like people talk about even in the medical field, they say that the terminology that they use is plasma ultrafiltrate.
Mhm.
Like that's what they actually call it.
Sometimes they even throw the word golden in there that I love.
Golden.
Golden ultrafiltrate plasma, or
Golden
yeah,
ultrafiltrate plasma. So it's like
yeah.
even in the medical field, it's basically saying it's not a product of waste filtration, it's a product of blood filtration.
Yeah,
It's the
that's exactly
blood.
where it's coming from.
And
Yeah,
even in the
yeah.
church, I don't know if you were raised in the church. I was raised very religious in the church, but we used to sing a song, Anna, and we were singing, there's power in the blood. There's
Yeah, hey, all
power
of
in the
these,
blood. Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
just right there in front of us. And that's part of the beauty is in the discovery,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, not everybody is gonna make it. I think that the whole afterlife thing, I believe in that now. I think if you don't um, gain the knowledge that you need to have, then you get brought back down here until you figure that out.
Wow.
And I think Shivambu is like one of those gateways, one of those, portholes that you have to find and go through in order to
Wow.
ascend. I really do. I don't know how else without it. I think you need that experience, that connection to yourself, and yeah.
Yeah. So on that path of ascension, do you feel like that's what you would say the meaning of life is to figure those
Hmm.
things out while we're here?
Yeah. And to prepare ourselves for our most fabulous moment, which is when we die. I think that's our most actually important day in our life is when are you ready to prepare yourself for that, to prepare
Mm.
yourself for that moment spiritually.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that,
Wow.
that's my biggest thing anyway. I really want to ascend. So, which is another reason why I want to go pranic, when I want to break my addiction with the material world.
And you feel like that ascension is not something that can happen before we transition? Like you're saying the transition is when the journey begins?
Uh, well, I think the journey begins when you intend it, when you have the intention to, when you set the intention to. begin, then you have begun. And I mean, there's no end game, like there's no end goal per se,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just every day that you're here is a opportunity for uh, the evolution of that or the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
I only asked because, you know, in my family, there's a very there's many ideologies about the hereafter, you know, what's going to come of us after, and we're preparing ourselves for after, and so
Mm.
they put a lot of things off until after. And
Mm.
when you said that, you
No,
know,
no.
you're, but it sounds different coming from you. It sounds like it's a different awareness. You're not like waiting to die, you know.
No, and I want to live really super extra long. So,
Okay. Okay.
but I want when I pass, when I this is how I phrase it. When I meet the great eagle, when I'm there at the gate and I've come to the end of my time down here on earth and I'm meeting the great eagle. I want to be able, in the Toltec tradition, they say you pass the eagle, you're double. So
Mm.
you've done all the cleaning up work of your emotions and everything's like you give that to him, you give that to the great eagle, and then you ascend, you pass this plane of existence and you ascend to the next. There's no end,
Mm-hmm.
in fact. It's not like it's just the end of this reality down here in this material
Mm-hmm.
world. And there's I don't know how many other realities that
Yeah.
we ascend into, or even the other direction, how much we've already done to get to where we are now.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
when I say, yeah, you pass them, you're double, it's so when you pass away, you don't flash back through your whole life through all the things that you wish you'd have done, you regretted not doing, the people you wanted to hug one more time, blah, 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 blah. Like all of that is already finished. Um, yeah, that's part of the recapitulation work that I do. It's going back through these old traumas or things that have happened to you or whatever. Everybody's got their own list of this relationship things and just moments in your life that are out of harmony, and uh, you bring your energy back out of them, and then you give the energy that you've been carrying, and that negative energy, you give that back to those other people, because it's not for you to carry anymore.
Right.
And yeah, so when you pass, you're like a clear vessel.
Wow. Wow. Purified. Wow. You know, it's
Yeah, and that's why I quit using the word fasting. I use the word purification,
mm,
because I'm not allowing. I
right.
don't forbid myself anything.
Yes.
I
It's
eat
not.
whatever I want. You know what I mean? And I'm just, you can't, people are like, "Oh, what kind of diet do you have?" I'm like, "Well, it's my very own. Don't
Yeah. So
try to follow."
it's not deprivation.
No.
Yeah. It's purification. Yeah. Yeah. I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. Because when you said that, you know, meeting the eagle, it reminds me of your name, Anna. You know, Seahawk. With the Toltec tradition, does that have anything to do with your name?
Um, this name was given to me in a dream, so it's not my birth name. And I didn't really know anything about. I hadn't studied the Toltec tradition. I didn't know anything about it when this name came to me. Um, and like a lot of other things in my life, a lot of the experience I have, I haven't, especially in my dream time and in lucid dreaming and in uh, just very intuitive. When I was a kid, I was very like clairvoyant. I didn't know, I really didn't. I was really naive. I didn't really know much about any of this, like from a book. And then, um, the more I read, and then I read about these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a thing that was happening to me. this is the way, like I could relate so much to this book, and I was like, wow, other people are having these kinds of experiences. And so yeah, this name came to me in a like a lucid
It's a dream.
dream.
Beautiful. Seahawk. So you took on the name. It came
Mm-hmm.
to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. And I love what you say as well about, these books because I love reading, and the
Mm-hmm.
Biha's down here, we both love reading together. We read a lot of books with each other. And,
Nice.
one of the books that I read as well on this series that I do called Pranic Pages was Paramahansa Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi.
Oh,
And
cool.
I saw that you put up a quote from him on your page. Like you've put up quotes with Rumi and Yogananda and all these different quotes. That's one of the things I love about you is that you take these beautiful quotations and you'll have yourself in a beautiful picture with a beautiful scenery and a beautiful, place, but you'll have this quote and it'll make someone ponder, you
Yeah.
know?
That's what I hope people do is like just stop and have a little moment to revel in it, in themselves, because it's them who's doing the feeling. I think we kind of forget that. Like that's why we go to the movies and we go to all these things. We go there to feel something. And we forget that we can go out into the world ourselves and you know, get that from nature.
Yeah.
If you want to feel afraid, you know, jump off a boat in the middle of the ocean. Like, even for some people, it's way more simple than that. Just swimming out past where they can put their foot down and stand up in the sea is already like, you know, really pushing the envelope for them. Or turning all the lights out in their home and going into a dark room that actually doesn't have light in it and being in there in an awake state for, you know, a while, long enough so that they see something. Uh, um, Simple things that you can do to just, you know, the whole pranic thing, it's like sensory, a little bit of sensory deprivation,
Yeah.
like your tongue and it's not in your face. You're not smelling it. You're not seeing it. You're not feeling it. It's not going in your mouth. And when you take all that away for a little while, then, you know, when you go back into doing it, it's totally
It
different. And
is.
one of the most beautiful experiences I had was a conscious picnic. And we went down to the beach, and the friend of mine had prepared a little meal for me, a raw vegan meal. I had no idea what it was. I never saw any of it. And I just sat down, and I remember when he opened up the container that he had brought it to the beach in, and I could smell the moisture coming out of the container. Like I could hear the sound of it opening, and then I could actually like smell the moisture of the food out of the container. And I was blown away. There was no talking. Like I could talk, but there was no response coming back from the person who's treating you to this experience. They don't speak and you don't see. And they feed you. You don't touch any of the food yourself.
You
It's
were
all
blindfolded?
I you can choose. I'm able to close my eyes and keep them
Okay.
closed, and you know, so I didn't want to have a blindfold on. I wanted to just be able to do that myself. But yeah, blindfold. So you don't see and they don't speak and you don't touch the food. And I was blown away by that experience. It was so unbelievably magical for me and a real big eye opener to like what I thought things were going to taste like. Like there was some things where I was like, what even, what was that? Like I couldn't actually put my finger on it.
So
And
that
they
sensory
were
deprivation.
like more, yeah. So the sensory deprivation, it's like, do we even know what our food tastes like?
This is what we're talking about. This is it. Yeah.
We
Oh
don't
man,
even
we
know.
don't.
We don't even know. And you
We
can
don't.
see it in people when you see them eating, they're just shoveling.
We don't know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like this huge food culture, like these people that these eating contests, like, you know, where they pile this huge thing of stuff in front of you and they just like, can you eat this mountain of food in under 30 minutes? I'm just like, this
People have died like that. You know, I remember
is
hearing
just
a girl, there was a girl that
insane.
died. No, seriously, there was a girl died hot dog eating contest, and she died during a hot dog eating contest. There was another girl recently, I believe, Pan Shaoting, or yeah, Pan Shaoting. She was 24 years old, and
Wow.
you've heard of mukbang?
No.
Mukbang. So I mean, you're not missing out. Mukbang, it's popular in China,
Mm,
but it's a popular live stream. Like people watch people eat. Some people pay.
right, right,
Some
right.
people
Yeah,
actually
okay.
pay.
I know this thing you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they just watch people eating all day long. And this one girl, she was eating for 10 hours straight. Now this is the
Oh
thing.
my God.
Before she died, the day before, Anna, the day before, she was admitted to the hospital for gastrointestinal bleeding.
They
Her
must see some crazy
It was
stuff in the hospitals.
bleeding, yeah? So when they released her from the hospital, she went back to the contest and she started eating again. After she was just bleeding, she went back to eating and she continued feeding herself. She was proceeding through this process, this mukbang, and her stomach, it ruptured. They said that it burst. They said when they did the autopsy on her body, there was still undigested food just sitting there
Yeah,
inside of
well, it'd
her.
have to be, right?
And she
Like,
was
it's just
just, I
insane.
mean, it was during the live stream, and people were on the live stream trying to call and send help. They couldn't get help to her fast enough. Like she was gone.
Well, I think that the writing was on the wall for a
Yeah.
while
So, I mean,
before
that
that
really struck.
happens, but
Yeah.
so insane. Yeah.
So we can't
And
taste. We're not really tasting.
no
Like
way.
that's not tasting. That's just, like you said, just shoveling it down.
Yeah.
You're not even, connecting with what you're ingesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a whole other part that comes with the plasma is like a different level of appreciation for what you're actually putting in your
Right.
body. And these people talk about sustainable living. I'm like, yeah, and how are you like, let's try and do it, with the standard American diet. Like, okay, grow it, grind it, like farm all of that, just like what this consumption rate is just like impossible. Like, it's
Yeah.
just not even, you talk about living to eat, like just whoa.
Yeah.
So just turn that whole story around and go the other way,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And there's so many one of the really most beautiful big things about the pranic journey is realizing that you can harvest energy from nature. We are like trees.
Hmm.
We need sunshine. We don't just need clean water like in a glass that we put in our mouth. Like you the moisture in the air going into a body of water in your own waters. If you're like, if you're in a desert situation, like, I mean, and how are you going to carry all this stuff around,
Right.
right? Like, it's just pranic is so much more, and then you're more in touch with your feet are on the ground, like
Absolutely.
you're bringing that energy in, your body motion, your
Yeah.
movements, your qigong, your tai chi, your however I call it body magic because I'm
Yeah.
just tired of labeling
Yeah.
stuff.
Body
I'm
magic.
like,
I
are you
like that.
professionally trained? I'm like, hey, forget it. I'm just a body magic person, okay? Just take your card.
Cool your jets. All right. Like cool down. Yeah, like speaking of qigong, I learned qigong from Eli Tom. Eli
Mm,
Tom taught me qigong the first time around, and when you're talking about carrying so many things, like he would tell us, the more knowledge you have, the less you need on your back. You know, the less you have to carry around. Yeah.
so true. Yeah. And we're literally coming to that stage once again ourselves. Right now, my partner and I, Lee, we're going back to like backpack because we were living in Laos for like 7 years. We had residency there,
Wow.
and so we kind of had a base. And now we're going back to being like a more hardcore nomadic again until we kind of figure out where we want to be.
Beautiful.
We realized it wasn't Laos.
Okay.
So here we are in the Mediterranean. I love it here, and this is where I want to do a base for sure, somewhere here. But it's not, anyway, you know, things are, it's a, life is like a Monopoly game for me.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, there's this whole spiritual life that I'm part of, like this magical spiritual reality,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like thrown down onto this board game that's sort of uh, the manufactured part of life where you need a piece of paper to get on a plane to go to another place, and
Mm.
it has to be approved, like all these the rules,
Mm-hmm.
um, and all these borders and all that kind of part of life.
Yeah.
So, and it's really rigged, you know, in a really strange and bizarre way. And I think until you really, when I first got a passport, I think I was like most people still are today. They're like, okay, now I want to get stamps in it. And to me now, the passport is just like this restriction that I have to manage somehow.
Mm.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're going back to a backpack again, is what I'm
Okay.
saying. And it's
Awesome.
so true. The more you know, the less you need to carry. It's
Yeah.
really, the shampoo is gone. There's so many things. And I'm about to leave behind like a few other things too that I never thought I would be parting with, but it's okay. Like some spiritual tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, I have a singing bowl, and I'm like, wow, this is actually heavy. And and that's the beauty of just the other thing that I didn't say, the voice,
Mm.
singing, mantras, the energy that we get from using our voice,
Mm-hmm.
and the harmony that brings. So yeah, it's like letting go of everything again. Here I am again, like yeah. Uh, when I moved from Canada 13 years ago, and you know, I had a beautiful home full of art, and it was like holding me back.
Mm.
And I sold everything. My parents were like, "Oh my God, not another drama, more drama." Like not eating for a month, and now we're gonna sell everything.
Everything must go. You're like everything. I did the same with when I went back to my family's house in South Carolina because that's where I was primarily raised in, and I had so many memories there, but also I hadn't been there for a while. And when I went back there, I mean, there was just a whole box full of like over 200 video games from all of these consoles and systems. So there were all these video games that I wasn't playing. There were all these movies that I was no longer watching. There were so many clothes I was no longer wearing. There were so many books I was no longer reading.
Mm,
And when I came back from my first pranic retreat, you know, breatharian retreat with Elitam, I was just looking at everything as energy. You know,
mm,
everything was just energy. Like all this stuff in my old room was just like stuck energy that was
yeah,
just sitting there doing nothing. And I was like, let me just move this energy and see what happens. So I just started, same as you, I started giving things away,
yeah,
donating things, selling things, everything. I remember the guy gave me a price for my whole box of video games, practically my whole childhood, you know, for years
yeah,
and years. And when he gave me the price, I mean, it was not even worth what I paid for it, not nowhere near. And I was like, take it, take it, get it out of here, you know? Like it was
yeah.
the energy. It was the
Yeah,
energy. Yeah,
it gets so trapped up
yeah.
in stuff.
So
Yeah.
it freed me up in so many ways,
Oh,
and it brought so many things more into my life. when I got the material things out of my life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what ascension really is all about.
Okay.
Just like what you said, right? Like getting all of this stuff out of the way so that an empty bowl is a useful bowl. Like the singing bowl doesn't make music when it's full of something.
Same as,
It has-
same as the flute.
Right.
It's got to be empty, right?
Yeah.
Its emptiness is its usefulness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a beautiful analogy you make there, Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I so love this pranic journey. I'm just so grateful that it came into my life and for people like you that have shared your stories because it's really a big part of it is us sharing and to know that it's possible, that someone's been there before you. And yeah, so there's so much fear tied up behind experiences. Letting our body even have an experience like this is a lot of emotion tied up in it.
mhm.
So
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
And I love how you said letting our body because it gives the feeling of permission, like you're giving yourself permission to to love yourself.
yeah,
You're like letting your body have an
to
experience.
feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah, to feel your body
yeah,
have that experience. Like
yeah.
to really deeply connect with that part of it. This is a gift for
A
for you,
gift. A gift.
for
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Because some people
So
see it as like you're cracking the whip on
yeah.
yourself and you're like, yeah, you know. That's how
Yeah,
some
and you
people see
can't
it.
rush it. Hey, you just can't
No.
rush it no matter how hard you try.
Mm-mm.
Because I'm really excited. I'm super excited about, my progressing along this
Yeah.
path. And the more I try to rush myself, it's like, ring, okay, just chill out before you trip and smash a tooth, like just calm down.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. What do
Yeah.
they say when the horse needs to slow down? Like, whoa.
Whoa, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. Like, okay, let's reduce the sail a little bit
Yes.
for the storm. Like, just take it easy. We
Yeah.
don't have to rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
So,
beautiful as
and
well.
enjoy the ride.
Enjoy it.
Hey, I'm really enjoying the ride right now.
I can tell.
Like, I thought I was gonna be food, like really way more food free than I am by like at this point right now. But I'm really like making peace with food again because when I went off of the sodium chloride,
Mhm.
I actually had like a big, huge withdrawal experience.
Wow.
And I had this like disgust for food. I was like, okay, this is where the anemic people, I can totally
Mhm.
feel where they are. I was like eating and it was like practically, it felt like I was forcing it down like into my
Yeah.
body. And it was because there was other people around, right? That I was like, okay, you made this, it was a salt-free
Mm.
meal, like that I had actually cooked.
Mm.
And we were all some friends. There's three of us. We were all sitting down together, and I was just quietly, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish this little tiny bowl I have in front of me. It was just like, and so I could have just continued with that, but I really wanted to heal my relationship with this beast. And so, yeah, but it's really like the more clean you get with your food, uh, the more, and with the Shivambu and with this whole journey, the more it wants to be that way. Like
Mhm.
I'm really just like, okay, like just completely letting go of the reins now. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ride this and see where it goes and just quit. Like there was a few times where Lee and I were at the table, we're like, okay, this is our last meal. Good luck. Good luck to
Oh
you.
man. Yeah, yeah.
But,
Good
and it's
point.
like when you let go, it's not even about it being the last anything.
Mm-mm. No,
And it's just the uh, the less you're even thinking about it.
exactly.
And the
Exactly.
more time you want to spend on other things. When people came to me like years ago with, okay, what should I eliminate from my to have a better diet? I'm like, don't eliminate anything. Just start include more.
Yeah.
Put something in there that's like really healthy that you love.
Hmm.
Include things, and then things will just naturally drop away
Right.
because you only have so much
Right.
space. Like,
Right.
just start with that and don't worry about losing weight,
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I used to say to some people when they asked me,
Yeah.
but I still kind of hold to that, like just include something that's actually serving you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying about the Shivambu, how it really puts you in touch with your meal. Now when I eat something, I'm like, okay, I envision like the best of it. Like the guy handpicked this lemon and he like put it in the bag for me, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and when I give my food the blessing, I envision these people
Mm.
that have brought it, to
Yeah.
my table for
Yeah.
me and how much they loved, their garden that they had. And it just makes you make better choices in the grocery store and you just don't even have to
For sure.
worry about it.
Like all the hands that it had to pass through just to get to you,
Yeah.
to make it to your plate. Like it passed through so many hands just to get to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have
And then it
gratitude.
makes you look like, okay, where is the food actually coming from?
Right.
So I try to shop super local. So here in Majorca on the island
Hmm.
here, I'm like, okay, what's from here on the island and what like or at least, just like from the same
Hmm.
country because it's just more direct and less politically complicated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cleaner channel.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you said as well, Anna, is such great advice. Like I'm so glad that you brought these things up because these are things that they're hard for me to describe to people, but you said it so eloquently. Like, first of all, when you were talking about not putting so much focus on what you need to reduce, but just focus on what you want to add. Like, what do you want to
Hmm.
include? Just include more of the good things. You'll naturally do less of the not so good things because you don't have enough bandwidth, to have
Yeah.
everything all at what, it's something has to go.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
makes sense to make space that way. Like, you want to be more on juices, just add in more juices.
Yeah.
So
And
as
you
well.
don't want to participate in this whole like political madness and the economy, how it's sort of like run, connect more directly with people and farmers and stuff like that, right? So then when you go to the grocery store and you look at the Pringles container, it's just like, what am I participating in?
Mm,
What am I Am I gonna give my like paper money? Am I going to exchange this energy that I worked to get
mhm.
this for this? And then the impact it's going to have on my health? Like,
Yeah,
I, that really got me cleaned up on my diet too,
yeah,
because yeah, I'm like, what am I actually participating in? And I mean, that's how you change things in your, not just in your life, but there's a butterfly effect. All of the spirit sees everything. The
absolutely, absolutely.
spirit is always watching. And yeah. And even if you do, just give your loving attention to that so
Yeah,
that the realize no, don't eat in ignorance. Don't put anything in your mouth in an ignorant state.
yeah,
Just accept it, even if it's bad. Just, accept that and give that your loving attention and just feel how it actually feels in your body and you're going to make better choices.
naturally,
Yeah.
naturally.
And if you don't, you just want to stay in that miserable state that you're in. You're not ready for it yet, onward. This isn't the pool for you then. You're in a lower vibration.
And
So,
and the other thing that you said that is really important and it's really key is when you said that you and your partner would say, okay, this is the last meal, no more after this, like it's over. And then you're like, good luck with that, right? What happens when you say this is the finale, this is over, the inner child, the child within us, it doesn't really like to be told that something's off limits, that you can't have
right.
this is no longer for you, this is restriction.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why I've lasted this long, and I haven't put a deadline, on when I'm gonna go back to solid food, but I'd never told myself that I'll be like this forever.
Right.
I never told myself you will never eat again. And
Yeah.
because I haven't told myself, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
I get to play with all these toys. Like I'm just, I have there's no urge to go back, but I know in the back of my mind, I can if I want to.
Sure.
So that kind of has put a lot less pressure on me when it comes to
Yeah.
being free. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The first big, long 36-day, that I ended up doing, I was like that. It was like, okay, like, just take it one day at a time, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, food is still going to exist tomorrow. Just calm down. In the first 2 weeks, especially the day 5, I remember it was like, whew, getting past the day 5 mark at that time, and I was like, okay, the fridge is right
Mhm.
there, full. You know what I mean? Just calm down. There's a grocery store a
Yeah.
block away. Relax. Just let yourself have this feeling and just calm
Yeah.
down. It's kind of like when you shared that, it's kind of how it feels for me in a way, just taking the pressure off
Yeah.
by just telling yourself, it's not
Right.
gone. It's not gone. It's still there.
So there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Anna, thank you for this. Thank you for this talk. Thank you for this, just sharing your learnings, expressing your experiences, your knowledge, your wisdom, and all the things that you've learned on your journey. Like, thank you just for sharing it with us because you said this is the first time you've gone live?
Well, no, I've done some lives, but I never talked about my
Okay.
childhood bowel movement. I'm
Okay.
like,
So
I'm
this is the
still
first
like,
time
whoo,
okay. So you've
I
shared
said
some
that
things.
out loud.
Yeah, yeah. So this one was really like vulnerable. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and that's what these spaces provide. They really provide people to be able to share their vulnerability. And that's really actually what I love about Twitter spaces.
Mhm.
But it's like one level, it's a different kind of, uh, it's easier for people to be more vulnerable there because there's no video actually. It's just it's just
Right.
talking. It's like being on a live radio show or something like that. It's
Okay.
super cool. I would love you to get an account just to come and check it out. If you don't like it, you can just exit. But soon I'm going to be doing a talk about Shivambu. And because it's super interactive, you can have people put their hand up to ask questions and then they come on. It's like having a huge big conference call
Oh, it's like
in a
Clubhouse.
way.
Like Clubhouse.
Yeah. And so one of the talks that I want to give before I do the plasma one
Hmm.
is a talk about how to conduct yourself in that kind of a setting.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with a book called The Circle Way?
The Circle Way. No, not too familiar.
So it's this way that we can come together in a round table kind of conversation sort of setting where there's no leader, everybody is a leader, everybody comes together as equals, but there's still a structure. So there's a host and there's usually a co-host and then there's a guardian,
Hmm.
and the guardian keeps the time so that each person has a opportunity to come in and
Hmm.
speak or ask a question. But it gives the whole thing structure so that you don't get debate happening and people talking over one another and stuff like that. So And it's not about anybody fixing anything. It's just people being able to come up and share their experience. And it's not, you should do this,
Right.
and if you did that. And like, it's not about that. It's about just being able to come and share your experience and being able to be vulnerable in a safe space where you can just be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And because I want to do other conversations where people can come and share some of their trauma,
Right.
and unload, and like the healing, helping people with that. So I think you'd be, I mean, I would love to share a bit more about that with you, like
Okay.
off channel
Okay. Yeah.
and stuff like that. If you want to be a part of something like
We'll
that,
keep
and I can send you
talking.
the book and you can have a little read through.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll keep talking. We'll keep talking.
Yeah.
So, blessings to you. I trust that you'll have a great rest of your evening. You know, just really, from the top of my heart, like, thank you for coming on today, because I know that something within you reached out and you were like, I'm ready. You were like, Jerome, I see all these talks, I see all these conversations, I see all of this, this loving vibration. I wanna do it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's
Yeah.
done. You said, I don't know how it's done, but just let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for letting me fumble through my technical issues. And yeah,
Good.
I am ready to be on this, share more and progress and evolve and collaborate. And thank you so much for sharing what you share, because it really, I cherish it, and it's helped me, and I'm sure it's helped others. And yeah,
Glad.
spread the good word,
We'll,
brother.
we'll continue. So take
Yeah.
care. Take care. All right.